microphone for candles. Okay. Check. Good evening. Hey, there's the Swits. I can start now because the Swits are here. Shabbat Shalom. Let's try that again. I think that people didn't hear me. Shabbat Shalom. So I have to tell you, whenever I return on a trip from Israel, my favorite question that I get asked is, how was your trip? Or was your trip fun? Or my favorite is, how was your vacation? So I try to explain to people, when a Jewish person travels to Israel, it's not a vacation. Yes, there are parts of it that are vacation-like, but it's a journey, it's an experience. You cannot go more than 50 yards or so in Israel without stepping on the potential of finding something that's more than 3,000 years old. There's a very, it used to be a joke, but it's actually true. You have to get permission from the government to dig because you don't know what you might run into. So when you go to Israel, it's not just a vacation or a trip, it's an experience. Having been to Israel probably 12 or so times, this was the most emotional, experiential journey that I ever had to Israel. And I will tell you that I've given the same response to every person that's asked me. And it may have seemed terse or like I didn't want to answer the question, but I didn't really want to answer the question because I'm still reflecting and still thinking about and trying to understand all of the experiences I had while I was in Israel. Some of which you'll hear tonight in my sermon. Some of which, if you followed me on Facebook, you saw many videos that I shared. If you look at the blog, I wrote a blog about it as well while I was there after the second day. I will tell you that I did not go to Masada. I did not go to the Kinneret or to the Golan or anywhere up in that country. I did not go farther south than the Gaza Strip. Didn't go to the Gaza Strip either, but I went really close. So it's so appropriate, I believe, that our opening song this evening is all about how wonderful today is. Because for so many reasons, I'm overjoyed to be back with you here, but also I am overjoyed to share with you the experiences that I had as time goes on. It's on page 10 if you'd like to see the words. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Ferrayo. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
We turn our books to page 2, and I'd like to invite Joyce Levin up to light our Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, our own day, be amongst those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahad nikner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Joyce. We continue on page 8. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services. But I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. And before we continue with our next song, let's take a moment here and recognize or any simchot that were good in your life or your family that happened between last Shabbat and this Shabbat. Yes. Wonderful. This part that he's not yours. Although my children were it too, so. Anybody else? I've been gone for 2 weeks, folks. Nobody's got anything that happened? There you go, yes, sir. Oh, God. I'll pay you after Shabbat. Nobody else? Yes.
My mother-in-law's biopsy is negative.
I knew that, but I'm glad that you announced that.
You didn't want to say it. You're gonna. That's
It's
say anything. I will.
no, it's my place to say it because you're here. So for those of you that didn't hear, her mother's biopsy came back negative. Mother-in-law's biopsy came back negative. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you guys talking. Oh, that's great for everyone. No more cane, no more anything. That's fantastic. Bruce. Okay, again, I'll pay you after Shabbat. You're right. Yes, Rita. Oh. And I'm going to be assigning people music so that although Julie has a song she wants, and she needs to tell what it is. Wonderful, wonderful. So now all the announcements are done.
I just want to thank the Joel to have the comedian here once.
Oh, yes, yes. Avi. He was terrific. That's true. That was a great experience. And the best part about it was even we didn't charge you guys to come. But I'm sure that we did pretty well in donations. So we should say thank you for the donations that were made for that. Yes, Carly. Her best friend is coming to stay at our house again for a week. Okay. No others? Okay. So our next song, you can find the words to it on page 22. Mizmor Shir. Do you remember a couple weeks ago I mentioned the chief rabbi of the United States? That's her on the left, sitting directly behind the cantor to the left. I'm slightly biased, but she's one of my classmates, one of my favorites.
You can find these words on page 22 of your prayer book.
We continue in our prayer book on page 26. Please rise for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah v'yalmad divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'zman kariv Emeru, Amen. Yehi Shmeirah Mevorach Le'olam u'ol me'omaya Yitbarach V'yishabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Dekudasha Brechu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata Tush bechata v'nechemata Damiran bi'alma V'yimeru Amen. Baruchu on page 28. Et Adonai Hamevorach, Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, Leolam Va'ed. We continue on page 33 as we chant the holiest words, the most important words that ever could come from a Jewish person's mouth. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue chanting the Ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivdecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'o yadecha ha'yilatotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. So for those of you that pay attention to my Facebook page or Botch's Facebook page, you saw a video that was posted earlier this week of Carly singing a song very, very extremely well. We've actually had a number of cantor friends of ours who have commented on how amazing it is. So, and there was some back and forth among members of this congregation about whether or not someone said, well, we want to hear her. And then someone else said, well, she's promised that she will, and we're going to hold her to it. Tonight, I had put on the prayer, the service outline, that Carly was going to sing the Baruch Hu and the Shema with me. But in my rush to get everything done before I left to go to Israel, I neglected to ask Carly. And I'm not going to surprise her 5 minutes before she has to sing that she's going to sing, which is why you will not hear her voice tonight. But I promise you will hear her again in the future without, as they say in Hebrew, bli neder, which means without really making a promise. Our next song is Micha Mocha on page 40. And this is, you'll notice that you'll see
I always wondered, what did that
Cantor
sound like? And so many different Jewish
Kadrain
composers have tried to capture what the
and
sound might have been as we
the
cross
head
sea.
rabbi of
And
America,
we're very lucky we get a
and
world premiere
Cantor
of a new
Kadrain's
version
wife,
by our own
Alana Arian, who wrote this song and is, you'll hear it.
Our wild, ragged, looking behind them and realizing that we are free.
In our prayer book on page 4. Let love and understanding among peace and be our shelter from life's storms. And I walk with good companions to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. And now to bring it a little bit closer to home, V'shamru, page 44.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat l'dorotam Berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael hashabat la'asot et hashabat l'dorotam Berit olam. Beini uvein ben השבת, את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם.
We turn to page 46 and to rise as we continue with the tefillah, page 46. Adonai, sefaitai tiftach, ufi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Gadol Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lima'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Hayeh ha'kol atah rav le'hoda, Mashiv ha'ruach u'morid ha'gashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol rachamim rabim, so mech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lahachat hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We continue with the words of Ritzeh on page 56. We turn on our prayer books to page 253 for the words of Mishaberach. We take a time in our services this evening, as we do in every service that we get together, and we think of all of those in our community here and afar that are in need of healing, whether it be body, mind, or spirit. This Shabbat, our congregation considers the names of Michael Ahern, although I believe that he asked us to take it off, but we'll keep praying for you. Naomi Berman, Herbert Brinker, Tracy Duquette, Dan Horton, Yocheved Bracha Bat Devor Hutchins, Michael Jarosh, Elise Kaplan, Kathy Katz, Sharon Kennedy, Jean Kincaid, Leslie Lado, Ruth Martin, Anat Prager, Hillary Katz Regan, George Kaufman, Moish Rosenblum, Christine Ruckman, Jackie Sachs, Terry Stein, Dr. Hossein Tehrani, Tillman, Elise Zeman, Jean Attic, mother of Mildred Olstein's daughter-in-law, Pat Clifton, husband of Sarah Clifton, Harriet Cohen, cousin of Mike Nusinov, Kim Conrad, Rita Singer, Joel Coltrera, son of Kathy Katz, Amy Schwartz, the mother of Amy Schwartz's daughter-in-law, Beverly Gordon, Richard Paulus, friend of Betsy Brody, Hillel Roebuck, cousin of Dale Berman Garfinkel, Ann Sack, sister-in-law of Betsy Brody, Elizabeth Wad, friend of Betsy Brody. If there is a name you'd like to add in our prayers of healing this evening, please raise your hand. I'd like to add to that list all of my colleagues who have returned from Israel that now have COVID, of which I'm not one, thank God. Mishberach, page 253.
Mishaberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov. Mishaberach Emoteinu, Sarah, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Mishaberach Avoteinu, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Our prayer for peace, Oseh Shalom, which you can find in your prayer books on page 62, is one of the most of our prayers, but it's also the one that has the most versions, because it's so everyone knows Oseh Shalom. When I was in high school, a particular version of Oseh Shalom was written, and or maybe when I was in middle school, and the song leaders for the regional group, SEFTI, of which we in Ocala would be a part of, 4 song leaders, Jesse Lefton, who is now Zilberstein, Judy Cohn, who is now Limor, Barbara Bell, who is now Barbara Siegel, and Josh Levine, who is still Josh Levine. And the 4 of them recorded this song. Now, so keep in mind when you hear in just a moment, it's high school students. And it is still to this day, if I'm ever having a bad moment, I can just put this version on and everything is good. So perhaps you might want to take some time to actually, I'm going to play you 2 songs in a row. One is Elohim Sor. That's when you meditate. And the next is Oseh Shalom. And that's actually the guy that wrote it, I believe. Is that Danny Massey?
בנפשי כי עבר לכל תהיה אלוהי, אלוהי, תהי בי, לשוני רע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ולנקר אליי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי אלוהי יהיו לרצון נמרחי מהיון ליבי לפניך אדוני
Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in, and then slowly exhale. Closed. Picture a synagogue sanctuary. This can be with people. What are some of the images you see in your mind? Are there any particular objects present? What is an absolute must in your idea of sanctuary? Open your eyes now. Perhaps you pictured pews, the yahrzeit boards, the bima, or what about the Shabbat menorah? Maybe you saw the Sabbath candles, lit or unlit. What about the ark? With or without Torahs? If you people, what did they look like? Were they men or women? What kinds of clothing or were they wearing? I will return to questions in a little bit. Let's focus on one particular that is present in every synagogue in the world. Yeah, I heard it. Forever candle or light. This light represents the presence of God in our sanctuary, in our life, where we are. Remember, no matter where you are, God is present. So what about the Ner Tamid? Why do we have one? What is its purpose? Well, Parashat Tetzaveh, this week's Torah portion, tells us, Ve'ata tetzaveh et b'nei Yisrael ve'ikhu elecha shemen zayit zach katit lamor la'ot ner tamid. You shall further instruct the Israelites to bring you clear oil of beaten olives for lighting, for kindling lamps regularly. Be'ohel moed michutz leparochet asher al ha'edut ya'aroch oto aharon uvanav merav ad boker lifnei Adonai chukat olam ledorotam me'et b'nei Yisrael. Got that? Aaron, thanks, Rachel. Aaron and his sons shall set them up in the tent of meeting outside the curtain which is over the pact, to burn from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall do from the Israelites for all time throughout the ages. In just these two verses, chapter 27, verses 20 and 21, commanded by God two things. One, we will have a perpetual light, and two, the light will be outside the curtain in front of the Holy of Holies, the Holy Ark. So why do we need this perpetual light? Jewish people never have one answer to any question. However, I find the following explanation from Shemot Rabbah, commentaries on the book of Shemot, to be quite important. It's chapter 36, verse 3. See how words of Torah give light to man when he is occupied with them. But whoever is not so occupied and is ignorant, he stumbles. It may be compared to one standing in the dark. He feels his way, comes up against a stone and stumbles thereon, comes up against a gutter, falls therein, his face striking the ground. Why? Because he went without a lamp. So it is with an ignorant man who knows no words of Torah. In this elucidation, the Torah is considered to be a light that guides human beings. One who is not guided by the Torah is seen as foolish or ignorant. The light given by the Torah is a necessity for humans to be able to move forward and accomplish tasks, especially in what sometimes seems to be a very darkened world. What does the Torah ultimately represent to us? Our scriptures represent the closest we can become to God. To read, contemplate, and understand these sacred words brings us even closer to God and God's light. The Ner Tamid also represents God's presence in our life. We are required to keep this light lit from evening to morning, to be continually lit night and day. While this light represents for us, we have the responsibility of doing the work to make sure the light stays lit. A little different when we don't have to turn on a switch or anything. Just like we are required to read, study, and learn Torah. If the Ner Tamid is a continual reminder of God's presence in our sanctuaries and in our lives, what about when we are not in a sanctuary, when we're not in a synagogue? The answer is fairly straightforward. As a matter of fact, it is something I speak about all the time in my sermons, in my teachings, in my blogs, etc. It is vital for us to remember we were strangers in the land of Egypt, and we are to take care of all of those in our communities with respect and love. Regardless of our disagreements or our misunderstandings with others, we must treat them with kindness and love. Also, in this week's Torah portion, the Torah goes into great detail explaining every single part or piece of the priestly wardrobe. Aaron and his sons were to be distinguished by their very special garments. There are many of us in this room that wear different types of uniforms or special garments in our jobs. These uniforms offer a mark of distinction, but they also set us apart from other people. Oftentimes, you can tell a lot about a person just by looking at the garments they choose to wear. And many of these first impressions are wrong when we get to know the people who are actually wearing the garments. Back to Aaron and his sons. In human history, going all the way back to the Bible, we find that clothes have often distinguished between different levels of society, often a major gap between various levels of society. The special garments worn by Aaron and his sons distinguished them as priests, which meant they had certain special privileges, including how close they could get to the presence of God as God dwelled in the Mishkan, the ark. But this distinction has always given me moments to pause. After all, if God chose to dwell among the people in the Mishkan that every Israelite helped to build, why would there be special privilege given to any one person or group of people? I know that being of the priestly tribes allowed for special position as part of their job. However, God should be available to all people, regardless of stature, or position. This brings me back to the question I posed earlier in my sermon. For those of you who pictured people in your imaginary sanctuaries, how many of you pictured kippot or yarmulkes? How about talitot or even tefillin? Were men and women wearing these items? On Wednesday, February 22nd, I joined my colleagues, men and women, to celebrate Rosh Chodesh Adar, the first day of the month of Adar, at the Kotel, the Western Wall in Jerusalem. The CCAR, the Central Conference of American Rabbis, my rabbinic conference, was joining Women of the Wall, Nashot HaKotel, in their monthly observance service. If you are unfamiliar with the Women of the Wall, I highly recommend you research them on the web. Founded by Anat Hoffman, Women of the Wall has as its central mission to attain social and legal recognition of the rights of women to wear prayer shawls, pray, and read from the Torah collectively and aloud at the Western Wall. Having heard stories from Anat as well as other participants in previous services at the wall, I was sure of one thing. I was going to act as a barrier, protexia, a wall of protection against those who want to silence these voices and prevent the women of the wall from their right to pray as they felt. What I experienced shook me to the bitter core of my soul. Never in my life have I experienced such hatred. Wow. When I wrote this, I was fine. Never in my life have I experienced such hatred and ire against Jews just trying to be Jews, especially when the actions and the words were perpetrated by other Jews. Rabbi Gilad Kariv, the first Reform rabbi member of the Knesset from the Labor Party, he has immunity at the Western Wall area. So he was able to bring in a Torah scroll. I tried to get as close to Gilad as I could to protect him, to serve as a wall with many of my colleagues, to protect Gilad, and of course the Torah. At one point I got very close to him and he wasn't talking, so I said, Gilad, I'm here to protect the Torah. Oh, and you too. Immediately upon appearing at the Western Wall area, before even getting to the security station, he was surrounded by what I thought were police security. It did not take me long to realize and understand that I was wrong. They were actually to prevent Gilad from giving the Torah to the women of the wall. At one point, one of the security goons grabbed my hand and threatened to break my finger as I was trying to protect Gilad. Once I finally made it through security, I went right to Gilad and attempted to get as close as I could to him and the Torah. I was able to help form a barrier circle directly behind Gilad until we were forced back into a secondary circle. If it's God, I'm busy. During this time, we were yelled at and cursed at in Hebrew and in English. Young men and boys, probably between the ages of 10 and 19, were blowing whistles at us, screaming nasty phrases at Gilad, and even began to spit at us and throw things at us. Throughout this experience, those of us who were there for the right reasons sang Jewish songs, liturgy, and anything we could do to drown out the anger and the frustration present. At one point, we were able to hoist the Torah up so it could be chanted by women rabbis who struggled to get as close as they could. It wound up being an amazing experience, hearing the prayers and the Torah chanted by women at the holiest site for Jews in the world. After considering how I felt while at the wall, how I have reflected since then, I'm drawn to an important distinction in Judaism. According to Jewish tradition, every one of us should be buried in the same manner, wearing the same exact garments, a plain white shroud, and in the same simple pine box. In death, we are equal. When we approach God, we are seen as equal. There is no difference in stature, in garment, or in job. Clearly, I am still reeling from the anger and frustration I experienced and felt that morning. I love Israel, and I always will. The United States, or wherever my family is my home. Israel is my homeland. As such, I will always have deep urges to return to Israel, whether for a visit or even longer. I struggle when I see Jews fighting against other Jews, whether they are Israeli Jews fighting against American Jews or vice versa, whether they are Orthodox Jews fighting against liberal Jews or vice versa. We are commanded time and time again in our holy texts to love the stranger as we were strangers in the land of Egypt. We are told 36 times in the Torah to love the stranger, to welcome the stranger, to provide and care for the stranger, to not oppress the stranger, all because of our time in Egypt. Perhaps, if all of us are able to love the stranger, they will become our neighbor, and then we will surely be able to love thy neighbor. Good evening. Good Shabbos. We continue on page 282 with Aleinu. Are there any kids in here besides? No. So, Kay, would you open up the ark doors? Please rise.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כדי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום
Please be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This Shabbat, our congregation commemorates the sites, the death anniversaries of Pearl Bash, sister of Rita Hoffman, Sylvia Rosendorf, friend of Wayne and Raylyn O'Mell, Florence Semraldi, sister of David Sand, Belton Jennings, Muriel Johnson, the mother-in-law of Deborah Johnson, Sanford Newman, Joel Newman, Ada Friedberg, grandmother of Michael Morris, and we are in Shloshim for Bernie Walt, Amelie Prescott, sister of Rochelle Gorofsky. If there's a name you'd like to add for our prayers of memory this evening, please raise your hand. We turn to page 294, and I invite you to rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dichol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'l'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei kudusha brechu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbeta v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yeshlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mermav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May all their memories be for a blessing. Say again. Amen. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Kay for a few announcements.
Make a comment about what you're doing on 7:30 on 7th?
Sure. At 7:30 this coming Tuesday evening, myself and 7 of my colleagues, exact number, 7 or 8 of my colleagues are going to be leading something called Musings on the Megillah. It's going to be actually on Tuesday night, which is actually Purim. And there's a Zoom link that I sent out to the congregation. You should have got an email from me yesterday, I believe. If you didn't get it, let me know, because there's a link on it. You can register, and then you'll get the Zoom information. And it's the Megillah being, parts of the Megillah being read and chanted, and in sort of in between each of the readings, there will be a number of us who are going to be teaching 5 to 7 minutes. It's a very short teaching. But it's the opportunity to, A, hear the Megillah, but also to study with other rabbis from across the United States of America. So, again, if you didn't get the email, send me an email. Don't tell me tonight because I won't remember. And I will be sure to get you.
Send it to me and I can send it.
Or send it to Kay. No, I don't.
I send it out to the congregation.
Well, I can send out a congregation again.
On that note, sorry, I've had a couple people tonight tell me they're not getting announcements and things we send out. It says on. Anyway, if you're not getting emails from me, please, you can write me tonight and tell me your address, and I will double check or put you on our list. Next Friday night, it's fun. We are going to celebrate Purim here with a Western Yeehaw theme. So you're supposed to wear the finest Western wear. And the next on March 11th, we have our monthly Saturday service. So we hope you will come there too. I want to bring up March 26th. Rita already mentioned it. It's our fashion show is going to be here. It's open to the community. We're working with Dillard's. Some of us, I don't think me, but some people are actually models, and tickets are $18, and it's a tea, so it'll be fun. And yes, he gets to be the MC. Still need, Betsy's not here, but she needs me and August interfaith people to do our monthly dinners. It's really easy. Seder, we are doing our Seder April 5th. Both Michelle and Naomi are here. They can certainly tell you details, but you have to fill out a form and prepay. That's the biggest thing. Sunday, March 12th, Sisterhood is going to make a trip to the Ocala Fire Museum, and Ruth Stern is here if you have questions for her. Amy, of course, is here for trees. Toby's not here, but she does union grams. Bima Slevin can take care of your flowers. Tommy can take care of onyx. We've got a calendar now out in the lobby on the donut, and we want people as, Tommy's going to put in everybody who signed up for onyx. Betsy's Betsy's going to put one who has signed up for interfaith. So if you want to see, I wonder if a certain date is open for my birthday or anniversary, please sign up. This week's onyx is sponsored by Joyce and Bob Levin in honor of their 62nd anniversary. Wow. These flowers are also donated by Joyce and Bob Levin in honor of their 62nd anniversary. Rabbi, I want to tell you a story. I'm sorry, I know I caught you off guard, but it has to do with your sermon. When we came in this building, we had to do a walkthrough. And Bob and Joe and I were honored representatives from Temple to do the walkthrough. Now, if you know Joe Sweat, he's back there, he usually has a cowboy hat. We get in here. Now, he's our maintenance person and has been for years, okay?
So we don't know who to blame.
Well, in the old building, the ceiling was, 10 or 12 feet high and got a ladder, and you could change the light bulb. He comes in here. His mouth drops open, and he turns and he goes, "How in the am I supposed to get up there?" And the builder stopped and said, "They're LED lights and they're hardwire. They will outlive all of us."
Okay, so I can't let someone steal my thunder. My first year as a rabbi, we were in Marietta, Georgia, and I had this student coming up for bar mitzvah, and he is autistic slightly, and took everything very, very, very literally. And when I told him to make sure that his speech, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting two things mixed up. I always have my bar mitzvah students write a turtle in their books to let them know to slow down. I would tell them that no matter how slow you think you're going, your brain is making you go faster. It's the longest bar mitzvah in the history of the world, because he took it literally to show me that it actually goes slower. But his sister was a precocious little one, still is, and the light on the narrative was out. Now, I was new in this synagogue. I pointed it out. I didn't realize she was pointing out the narrative to me. I thought she was pointing out just another light. She was, "Rabbi, that's not supposed to go out." And I said, it's an electrical, it's not. She goes, "I don't think that's right, Rabbi." She was right. The Ner Tamid had blown a fuse. That's the only time the Ner Tamid ever gets blown out, when the fuse is blown. You know who I'm talking about, I'm sure, if you think about it real hard. Our closing song is Ein Keinu on page 322. Thank you to Jay and Dale and Raul for their beautiful music this evening. Also, thank you to Bob Levin, who is going to be leading our in Motzi in the social hall. Shabbat Shalom. See you in the social hall.